The strange creature in the trap, asterisk, in a quiet forest far from any big city. A man named Jason lived all alone. He was not the kind of person who liked noise or many people around him. Jason enjoyed his peaceful life in his small wooden cabin, surrounded by trees, rivers, and fresh air every morning. Jason would check the traps he set to catch rabbits and other small animals for food. One cold and windy morning, while the sun was still hiding behind the clouds, Jason grabbed his jacket and went outside. His boots crunched against the wet grass as he walked deeper into the woods. After a few minutes, he reached one of his old rope traps hanging from a tree. But today, something was different. Jason stopped walking and stared. His eyes narrowed in confusion. In the trap, there wasn't a rabbit. There wasn't even a normal animal. Inside the trap, hanging a few feet above the ground, was something ... strange. It looked like a tiny person, not bigger than a small child. Its skin was pale blue, almost glowing. Its hair was silver and floated gently in the wind. It had large, round, black eyes, so big they didn't look human at all. Its small arms and legs were wrapped in the rope. Jason took a step closer, heart beating faster. Was it real? Was he dreaming? The creature's eyes opened wide as it saw him. Its mouth moved slightly. Jason noticed its sharp little teeth. But what truly shocked him was the look in its eyes. Fear. The creature was terrified of him. Jason dropped his bag and moved closer. "Hey, it's okay, ... I won't hurt you," he said in a calm voice. The creature shook its head and spoke in a small, soft voice that sounded almost like music. The words were broken, like someone learning a new language. Double quotes, P dash, please, ... don't ... eat me ... Jason stepped back, surprised. Eat her? Did she really think he would do something like that? He raised both his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not going to eat you. I'll get you down, okay?" Carefully, Jason took out his knife and cut the rope holding the small alien girl. She fell gently into his arms. Her skin felt cold, like touching ice. She was shivering, tiny hands holding onto his shirt. Her small body was so light it felt like he was holding a bundle of feathers. Jason looked around. No ships, no noise, only trees and the sound of wind. Where had she come from? Was she lost? Was she hurt? Jason didn't know. But he couldn't leave her there in the cold. He wrapped her in his jacket and carried her back toward his cabin. Inside the cabin, the fire was still burning from last night. Jason placed the girl on a soft blanket near the fire and went to make some tea. She didn't take her eyes off him. Even for a second. Jason put a cup of tea on the table and sat down on the floor across from her, giving her space. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl hugged her knees, her silver hair falling around her face. Double quotes, no. ... name ... double quotes, she whispered. Her voice was still shaking. Jason frowned. "Where are you from?" She just shook her head. Her eyes were full of tears now, but she didn't let them fall. Jason understood she wasn't ready to trust him yet. After all, she was small, lost, and scared. Maybe she really believed all humans were monsters who would eat her. He pushed the teacup a little closer. "It's warm. Drink it. It will help." The girl looked at the cup, then back at him. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she picked it up and smelled it. Her eyes widened. It was clear she had never tasted tea before. After a long pause, she sipped. Jason smiled a little. Maybe this was the start of something ... different. He still didn't know her story. But one thing was sure. This wasn't just a rabbit caught in a trap. This was the beginning of something much bigger, and Jason had no idea what kind of trouble or adventure was coming his way next. Asterisk morning came slowly in Jason's cabin. Sky. Outside was gray, and soft rain tapped against the wooden roof. Jason sat in his chair by the fire, sipping warm tea. Eyes fixed on the small alien girl lying on the blanket near the flames. She was still asleep, curled into a tight ball, her small arms wrapped around her knees. Her silver hair covered part of her face, and her skin looked even paler in the morning light. Jason had spent the whole night thinking, who was she really? How did she end up in his trap in the middle of this forest? And more than anything, why? Did she think a human would eat her? Suddenly, the girl's eyes opened wide. Dark black and shining like glass marbles, they stared around, confused. When she saw Jason sitting nearby, she gasped and quickly pushed herself into the corner. Pressing her back against the wall, her small hands shook as she covered her mouth. It was clear her fear was still there. Jason spoke gently, keeping his voice low and slow. "It's okay. You're safe now. No one will hurt you." But she didn't move. She only shook her head again and again, whispering something in her own language, too fast for Jason to understand. He placed his cup down and reached for a soft piece of bread on the table. He tore a small part and held it out towards her. "Eat," Jason said softly, showing her it was just food. The girl stared at the bread for a long time. Her large eyes flickered between Jason's face and the food in his hand. Finally, her tiny fingers reached forward, still shaking. And she grabbed the piece. She sniffed it carefully, like a wild animal checking if it was a trick, and then, she took a small bite. Jason let out a slow breath of relief. Maybe this was progress. For a while, they both sat in silence. Rain outside, fire inside, and only the small sounds of chewing from the alien girl. Then, Jason tried again. "My name is Jason," he said, touching his chest slowly. "Yazun." The girl looked at him, eyes a little calmer now. She didn't answer, but Jason didn't mind. "Who are you?" he asked again, softly. "Name?" This time, the girl's lips parted. Her voice was small and weak, but she spoke. "No, name, Jason frowned. "No name." She shook her head slowly, hugging her knees once again. Jason felt a strange sadness in his chest. Even animals had names. But here was a living, thinking being, with no name. He decided something quietly. "If no name," he said slowly, "I will call you Mina." The girl blinked. Mina. Jason smiled. "Yes, Mina. Is that okay?" For the first time since he found her, the girl gave a very tiny nod. Jason's heart warmed a little, but he knew there was still more he didn't understand. Why was she so afraid? Why was she out here, alone and cold? Suddenly, Mina looked towards the window. Her small hands grabbed Jason's sleeve tightly. Her voice shook as she spoke one clear sentence. "They will come." Jason's eyes narrowed. Who? Who will come? Mina's face went pale again. Her whole body started shaking. "Hunters. Bad. They take small ones. Jason couldn't believe what he was hearing. There were more like her, and someone hunted them. He reached out, putting his hand gently over hers. Her skin was cold like ice, but she didn't pull away this time. "Don't worry, Mina," Jason said, voice firm now. "No one will take you from here, I promise." But deep in his mind, Jason knew life had just changed. This wasn't just about one lost alien anymore. If what Mina said was true, danger was already on its way, and Jason would have to be ready for it. Night came again to Jason's cabin, but tonight felt heavier. The sky was darker, the air colder, and the forest quieter than usual. Jason couldn't sleep. He sat by the fire, eyes half closed, listening to the small sounds of the cabin. Mina was asleep on the blanket near the fire, her tiny form wrapped in Jason's spare jacket. Her breathing was soft, steady now, no more shivering. But Jason's mind wasn't quiet. Hunters, bad. They take small ones, Her words from earlier kept repeating in his head. Ugh. Who were these hunters? Aliens. Humans working with aliens. Ugh. And why did they want Mina? Suddenly, there was a faint creak. Jason's eyes opened fully. He turned his head slowly toward the cabin door. It was slightly open. His heart jumped. Jason stood quickly and looked at the blanket, empty. Mina was gone. Without wasting a second, he grabbed his flashlight and rifle, then stepped outside. Cold wind hit his face. Rain had stopped, but the ground was wet and muddy. He could see tiny footprints leading away from the cabin. Mina, Jason whispered under his breath. He didn't want to shout. If hunters really were out there, noise could be dangerous. He followed the tracks deeper into the woods. His boots squished in the mud. Every tree looked the same in the darkness, but Jason kept going. His flashlight beam moved left and right, searching. Then he heard it. A small sob. Jason turned fast, aiming the light toward the sound. And there she was, curled up at the base of a large tree, arms around her knees, hair wet and sticking to her face. Mina. She flinched as Jason ran to her, but she didn't run. She was too cold and weak. Jason knelt beside her, putting his rifle down and pulling her close with both arms. Her whole body was shaking. "Why did you leave?" Jason asked quietly, voice full of worry. Through her tears, Mina spoke in broken English. "No safe. I bring danger. Jason's chest felt tight. She had run because she didn't want him to get hurt. Even as scared as she was, she thought about protecting him. "Mina," Jason said slowly, voice calm, strong. "You are safe with me. I don't care about danger. I will not let anything happen to you." But she shook her head. "You don't understand. Bad. Very bad people." Double quotes. Jason looked around the dark woods. The silence wasn't natural. Even the animals seemed to be hiding tonight. "We'll talk about it later. First, let's get you warm again." Jason took off his jacket and wrapped it around Mina's small body. He picked her up carefully, holding her against his chest, as he walked back toward the cabin. She didn't struggle this time. Her tiny arms held onto his shirt tightly. Jason could feel how cold her skin was, like holding a block of ice. When they reached the cabin, Jason closed the door, locked it, and placed Mina back on the blanket by the fire. He sat beside her this time, not across. Slowly, carefully, he added more wood to the fire until it burned bright and warm. Mina stared into the flames, her small hands out toward the heat. Jason waited a long time before speaking again. "Mina, tell me more about the hunters, please." For a moment, it seemed like she wouldn't answer. But then, in a voice as quiet as falling rain, she said, "They come from far. Other stars. They take small ones. For money, for food." Her voice broke on that last word. Jason's hand tightened into a fist, his jaw clenched. "So they really eat your kind?" Mina nodded slowly. "Yes, and if they find me, they take me again." Jason looked down at her small form. To fear in her eyes wasn't just from today. It was from a lifetime of running. He knew now he wasn't just helping some lost alien girl. He was standing between her and something terrible. Jason made a silent promise to himself in that moment. Even if those hunters showed up tomorrow, even if it meant risking his own life, he would protect Mina. She wasn't just a strange creature anymore. She was family now. The rain had stopped. But Jason's heart still felt heavy, like a storm was coming. For 2 days now, Mina stayed in the cabin. She didn't try to run again, but she barely spoke, barely ate. Even when Jason gave her warm food, soft clothes, and tried teaching her simple words, her eyes always showed the same thing. Fear. It wasn't normal fear. It was something deeper, like she had seen things no one should ever see. Jason sat by the window that evening, staring at the trees. His rifle was always close now. He had placed traps around the cabin, if anyone or anything tried to come. Jason would know. Behind him, Mina sat near the fire. Jason glanced at her and noticed something he hadn't seen before. Her sleeves had slid up a little as she hugged her knees. There were marks on her arms. Jason stood up slowly, walking closer. He knelt down in front of her, voice calm. Mina, ... can I see? At first, she didn't move, but Jason gently touched her arm, pulling the sleeve up more. What he saw made his stomach turn. Strange symbols burned into her skin, like letters or numbers, glowing very faintly, marked forever. Mina, ... Jason whispered, "Who did this to you?" For the first time, Mina met his eyes fully. Her small lips trembled. Mark ... for selling ... She said quietly, "Property ... Jason's breath caught in his throat. Property. This wasn't just some alien girl hiding in the woods. She had been owned, treated like an object, sold. Jason asked slowly. Mina nodded, eyes shining with unshed tears. Small ones ... born small. Taken by bad people. Sold in market ... like pet. Or food ... Jason's fists clenched tight. His knuckles turned white. He couldn't believe it. "That's why you thought I would eat you ... Jason whispered, his voice heavy. Mina hugged her knees tighter. Humans ... on other planets. By 2 ... not all. But some ... double quotes. Jason didn't know what to say. Had never been off Earth, never cared about alien markets or politics. But now it was right in front of him. He stood up and paced the room, thinking. Mina watched him quietly, afraid she had said too much. After a long moment, Jason stopped. Her voice was serious now. "You're not property anymore, Mina. Not here. Understand?" She didn't answer right away, but then, slowly, she gave a small nod. Jason sat back down beside her, this time pulling out a small piece of paper and a pen from his drawer. He drew a simple house, then a stick figure of himself, and next to it, a tiny stick figure with long hair. He showed it to Mina. "This is you," Jason said, pointing. "My family, not food, not pet. Family." Mina stared at the paper for a long time. Her eyes grew wide, like no one had ever said that word to her before. "Family ... she whispered. Jason smiled slightly. "That's right." For the first time since he found her, Mina gave a small smile back. It was quick, almost like it surprised her. But it was real. Jason knew now this wasn't just about hiding her anymore. If hunters were really coming, if people really sold beings like her... Jason wasn't going to stay quiet. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed outside. Snap. Jason's head turned fast. He grabbed his rifle. "Stay here," he told Mina firmly. She shrank back, fear returning to her eyes. But she didn't make a sound. Jason moved to the window, peeking out slowly. His traps were out there. Maybe an animal. Maybe wind... or maybe something else. His finger hovered near the trigger. His heart beat faster, but his mind stayed calm. He couldn't afford to panic. Not with Mina here. Then he saw it movement. Between the trees, a flash of metallic silver. Jason whispered to himself, eyes narrowing. They found us. But he wasn't going to let Mina get taken again, no matter what came next. The cabin felt too small, the air inside too quiet. Jason stood by the window, rifle in his hand, eyes locked on the trees outside. The flash of silver he had seen earlier wasn't just in his mind. It wasn't wind or a wild animal. Someone was really out there, and Jason had no doubt was the hunters Mina had spoken about. Behind him, Mina sat on the floor near the fire, hugging her knees. Her small voice trembled as she asked, "They come?" Jason didn't turn to look. His voice stayed calm. Yes. Mina hugged herself tighter. Her big black eyes were wide with pure fear. But Jason wasn't afraid. Not for himself, at least. He had been through rough things in life, but this was something different. This was about protecting someone who had no one else. Jason grabbed his old radio from the shelf and tried calling for help. Bass. This is Jason. Repeat, this is Jason from Sector 12. I have a situation. Unknown ships. Possible alien contact. Nothing. Only static. Jason cursed under his breath. Of course, tonight of all nights, the radio would fail. A loud thump outside made him snap his head back toward the window. This time, it wasn't just one flash of metal. T saw them clearly now, tall, shadowy figures moving between the trees. They wore armor silver and black hand carried strange weapons that glowed faint green. They weren't walking like soldiers. They were moving slow, careful, hunting. Just like Mina had said. Jason stepped away from the window and locked the cabin door. He looked at Mina. Listen carefully. If they break in, there's a trapdoor under the bed. You hide there, don't come out, unless I say. Mina's voice shook. No, ... No, leave you, ... Jason knelt beside her, resting a hand on her small shoulder. I'll be fine. Just promise me. Hide. Mina stared at him, eyes shining with fear. Then, finally, she gave a tiny nod. Jason grabbed extra ammo and moved toward the back door. He opened it quietly, stepping out into the cold night air. The ground was muddy, making every step slow. He wasn't just some hunter living alone anymore now. He was a defender. Jason circled around the cabin, moving between trees. His traps were settled rope snares, sharp spikes hidden in the mud, alarms made from cans and wire. Suddenly, clink. One of the cans fell over. Jason ducked fast behind a tree, eyes sharp. He saw one of them now, one of the hunters. The figure was tall, maybe 7 feet, skin hidden under sleek armor. Its face was covered by a black mask with red lights glowing where eyes should be. In its hand, it held a long, curved weapon glowing green. Jason aimed his rifle slowly, heart steady. He took a deep breath, and then crack. The shot echoed through the night. The bullet hit the hunter in the shoulder, sparks flying from its armor. But the thing didn't fall. It turned its head slowly toward Jason. Jason whispered under his breath. Of course, it wouldn't be that easy. The hunter raised its weapon. A green pulse shot out, hitting the tree Jason hid behind. The wood burned, cracking from the heat. Jason rolled out from cover, firing again and again. This time, his shots hit the hunter's leg. The figure stumbled, falling to one knee. But more shadows appeared, now to 3, maybe more. Jason ran back toward the cabin, shouting, Mina. Hide now. The cabin door slammed shut behind him. He locked it, pushing furniture against it as quickly as possible. Mina was already under the bed, her small face peeking out, tears running down her cheeks. Jason knelt beside her, handing her a flashlight. If I don't come back in 10 minutes, you run. Understand? She shook her head. No, ... Jason forced a smile, even though his heart was heavy. Family protects family, right? I protect you suddenly. Bang, the front window shattered. One of the hunters smashed through, landing in the cabin. Jason raised his rifle again, firing at close range. The fight wasn't over yet, but Jason wasn't giving up. Not now, not ever. Asterisk the air inside. Jason's cabin was full of smoke and heat. Sparks flew from broken wood as one of the hunters smashed through the wall like it was nothing but paper. Jason fired again 3 shots straight into the alien's armored chest. Sparks flew, but the hunter didn't stop. Its glowing weapon raised, humming louder. Jason barely jumped aside as green energy burned through the floor where he'd been standing a second before. Mina hide. Jason shouted again, but she was already under the trapdoor beneath the bed. Her wide eyes peeked up, but she didn't make a sound. Jason had no more time to look. Another hunter crashed through the back door. Now there were 2 inside the small cabin. Jason knew he couldn't win this fight in the open. He had no fancy alien weapons, just an old rifle, a knife, and human stubbornness. But humans had something else, 2 tricks. Jason dropped his rifle suddenly, rolled across the floor, and grabbed a glass bottle from the shelf. He threw it into the fire. The flames exploded upward as the alcohol inside the bottle caught fire. Smoke filled the cabin fast. The hunters stepped back, sensors flickering red through their visors. Jason grabbed his knife and dove through the smoke, slashing at the first hunter's leg joints. Sparks and strange green liquid sprayed out. The hunter stumbled. Jason didn't. Wait. He grabbed his rifle again and kicked open the cabin's side door, diving into the night air. The cold air hit him hard. But he kept moving, circling the cabin from the outside now. He wasn't running away, he was drawing them out. Behind him, the cabin burned. The fire lit up the dark forest like a signal. Jason's heart twisted, knowing his home was going up in flames. But Mina was still safe under the trapdoor. One hunter burst from the flames, following Jason. Its armor smoked. Jason ran between the trees, sliding through mud, dropping sharp traps as he went. Suddenly snap. The hunter stepped into one of Jason's metal snare traps. A heavy steel clamp locked onto its leg. The creature roared in pain, half machine, half monster sound. Jason didn't stop. He knew more would come. Then something unexpected happened. A loud sound from the sky. Jason stopped running and looked up. A ship, small, silver, and smooth, hovered above the trees. Its lights lit up the forest below. Jason shielded his eyes. A voice echoed from hidden speakers. Step aside. The girl belongs to us. Jason's jaw clenched. He grabbed his radio still, strapped to his belt, tanned, pressed the button hard. Static. He tried again. Anyone listening, this is Jason. Hunters attacking. Alien contact confirmed. Coordinates, Sector 12. A moment, nothing. Then crackling. A voice answered. Jason, this is Control. Stay alive. Backup coming. Jason let out a rough laugh. About time. But the ship was lowering now, tree branches snapping under its force. A large door opened on its side, and there, standing tall inside the ship, were more hunters. Jason whispered under his breath, "It's all or nothing now." He ran back toward the burning cabin. His boots slammed into the mud, his heart racing, faster than ever. When he reached the cabin again, smoke poured from every window. But he didn't care. He dropped to his knees, pulled the bed aside, and opened the trapdoor. "Mina," he called. Her small hand reached up. She was coughing, her silver hair covered in ash, but she was alive. Jason pulled her out fast, rapping. Her in his jacket. "We have to move," he said, voice low but steady. Mina looked up, tears in her eyes. "Too many, ... We can't." Jason smiled, even with fire around them. "We can, because humans don't give up." With Mina in his arms, Jason ran. He didn't stop until they reached the river water, cold and dark. Hunters were still behind. Them, shadows moving through fire and smoke. But then bright lights appeared above. The trees again, not the hunter's ship. Earth military dropships. Human ships, soldiers in black and green armor dropped from ropes, shouting commands. Their weapons weren't old rifles like Jason's. They carried railguns and pulse blasters. Jason dropped to one knee, holding Mina tight as human soldiers surrounded them. One officer stepped closer, looking down at Jason. "You really weren't." "Kidding," the officer said. "That's an alien." Jason coughed, voice rough. "She's not just an alien. Her name is Mina, and she's family now." The battle wasn't over yet, but Jason knew now. He wasn't fighting alone anymore. Not today, not ever again. The sun was rising. Soft orange and pink light covered the forest, shining over burned trees and broken ships. Smoke still floated in the air. But the fight was over. Human soldiers walked between the wrecked alien hunters' bodies and metal parts from their ship. Some carried heavy weapons, some checked sensors. But no more shots were fired. Jason sat on the back of a military transport truck now, his arm bandaged. His face was tired, covered in dust and blood, but his eyes stayed on Mina. Mina sat beside him quietly, wrapped in a clean blanket. Her small hands clutched a warm cup of tea someone had given her. Even now, surrounded by soldiers and big machines. She didn't seem fully relaxed, but her eyes were different. For the first time since Jason had found her in that trap, her eyes weren't full of fear. A young soldier stood near them, holding a scanner. "Sir," he said to Jason, voice careful, "we can take her now. She'll be safe at the Alien Protection Center." Jason looked up slowly. His voice was calm, but firm. "No." The soldier frowned. "Sir, it's government rule, Jason." Shook his head. "She's not just some alien. She's not a number in a file. Her name is Mina, and she's staying with me." The officer from before walked up, a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He looked at Jason for a long moment before speaking. "You sure about that?" the officer asked. "It's not easy, raising someone, especially someone like her." Okay, Jason glanced down at Mina. She was watching him now, her big black eyes shining gently in the morning light. She didn't speak, but her hand reached for his sleeve like she didn't want him to go anywhere. Jason smiled slightly. "Yeah, I'm sure. I don't care what papers say, she's family now." The officer exhaled slowly. Then he gave a small nod. "Right. We'll make it official." And just like that, it was decided. Mina was no longer a nameless, hunted alien. She was Mina, part of Jason's family. 2 months later, life became quieter again. Jason rebuilt his cabin, this time with stronger walls and better security systems provided by the military. He even had solar panels now. Mina helped as much as she could. Though she was small, she carried light tools and handed Jason nails or pieces of wood. Her English was getting better every day. One morning, Jason was fixing the fence when he heard a small voice behind him. Jason turned. Mina stood there, holding 2 mugs of tea. "Thank you," she said, in simple, clear words. Jason smiled as he took the cup. "For what?" "For everything. For family, Jason knelt beside her, resting one hand on her shoulder. "You never have to thank me for that, Mina." They sat together on the porch steps after that, watching the sun rise over the forest. From far away, maybe they looked like just a man and a child. But Jason knew the truth. Sometimes family wasn't about blood or where you were born. Sometimes family was about who stood by your side no matter what. And as Mina leaned her head against his arm, Jason felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. The strange creature in the trap was now his daughter. And together, Atea, they were no longer alone.